If you had told me like 6 months ago that the song you're just about to release in a couple months will hit 1 million streams, I would have said you're messing, because like I was obviously so nervous to release Older because no one knew who I was. It's, no one, I just no one knew what I had to offer, and I didn't know if people were going to like it or relate to it in any way. And luckily enough, they did, and it has gone so well, and I'm so grateful for all the support. But yeah, I still couldn't have imagined where it was going to go. And even I always say that when I hear myself on the radio or people send me my songs on the radio, like it never feels normal, and I don't think it ever will. Sometimes I'm like, oh my God, like that's me, like so it's still so surreal.
I first noticed you on TikTok, and it was because of like I think it was when you were hearing your song first time on the radio. So like,
Yeah.
how did it feel like the very first time you like heard yourself?
Would have had it ready for a couple of weeks before we release it. So I had listened to it in the car, and I had a blaring around the house for weeks before it came out. But just hearing it on the radio is definitely a different feeling. To hear like the biggest radio stations in the country announcing you and talking about you, and yeah, it's just a crazy feeling. And even in that video, my mum's in that video with me, and even she is just so blown away that this has happened.
Obviously releasing songs in lockdown, do you think it's helped you like having a platform on TikTok as well?
A year ago now, I made an Instagram and a TikTok account, and before that, only like friends in school and my close family knew that I like was interested in singing. I never like put myself out there online before that, and it was definitely something I always wanted to do. But I don't know, I was just worried that people could comment on me, or some people mightn't like my voice, some people mightn't like what I post, and I always was really worried about that. So I suppose in the first lockdown it was the perfect opportunity to create my socials for my music and put myself out there. And yeah, I've never looked back. Like within the first few weeks, I definitely got like a lot of attraction, and people seemed to really like what I was doing, and that definitely pushed me just to keep going and keep going. And so yeah, TikTok has been an absolutely massive help. And I think the amazing thing about TikTok is you're not limited to, friends of friends seeing it like on Instagram and stuff like that. Like you can reach other sides of the world. Sometimes there's comments like listening to you from Oz or from the US, and like that is surreal to me, that way. So yeah, it's a deadly platform, and it's definitely kind of one of the main reasons why I'm here where I am today.
When you decided you wanted to actually do this, like family and friends and everyone have been more than supportive?
100%. Yeah. I think family, like my family just know that I'm happy doing this, and all they want is for me to be happy. So yeah, they just want me to follow my dreams, but they're not a musical family at all, which is very funny. Like my parents, they can hold a tune, but they're not singers by any means. And yeah, so it was a bit of a shock when I was like kind of growing up that I loved it so much. And I suppose when I was getting a bit older, they realized like, oh, right, she actually can sing. It's not just really a hobby anymore. Like, um, but yeah, and now my younger siblings are all kind of getting into music now, and they're all learning different instruments, and a couple of them sing as well.
Do you think your family have like decided to start like picking up instruments and like singing as well? Like because kind of you started doing it, were you like kind of an inspiration to like them for it?
Yeah, like my youngest brother, he's 6, and when you ask him what he wants to be when he's older, he says to be signed by a record label. So that's purely just from me, you know what I mean? But yeah, I think they always had an interest in it, and especially like me, I kind of spent so much time at the piano during lockdown. So they just saw me at the piano, and I would teach them how to play my songs on the piano, and it all just kind of went from there. So yeah, I think it's definitely just in the past year, kind of from me nonstop singing, they kind of didn't really have a choice.
Have any like artists like inspired you, or did they inspire you at the start to actually like go into the industry?
I always think back to this one moment when I'd say I was 16, and I was at a festival, and it was like the middle of the day, 4 o'clock in the day or something, and there was this female artist on the main stage, and there wasn't that much of a crowd at her, but I thought she was brilliant. And I recognized some of her songs, but I didn't know exactly who she was. And then it was Dua Lipa, and like she was big back then, but compared to where she is now, she was quite small back then. And I just remember watching her on the stage and being like, oh my God, like that is what I want to do. And I think in that moment I was like, okay, like, you need to go for this now if that's really, really what you want. So I always think back to that moment. So I definitely say she's been a massive influence, and watching her grow through the years and where she is now has just really, yeah, inspired me.